Coming at you live from DNHQ in beautiful South Pasadena, California. Happy Friday morning. This is the Blue Heaven Podcast. Oh, I hear myself. What is going on, Dodgers Nation? My name is Clint. You can find me as Real FRG on Twitter and Instagram. That guy, he's part of the what'd you call it? Bluevery? I don't know.
That was not working.
He had a bad line early this morning, but that is Doug McCain, DMac_LA. Doug, happy Friday, friend.
Happy Friday, my man. Hey, brunch in Blue Heaven. What could be better? Hail to the victors, the Dodgers bludgeoning the Rockies, rocking the Rockies, beating 14-3 in the hail last night, win their third straight series. I'm happy doing this. The East Coast viewers are probably tuning in big time right now. It's like big time.
I know. At 11, well, a little later, 11 a.m.-ish show. Let us know how you enjoy it. We will. I have to point out a couple of things. One, I need to point out that you're now home with Jim Beam and Dodgers Nation, so please do drink responsibly and enjoy when you are able. It is earlier, but this is probably going to be our last Friday show. We're going to be switching to Monday, Thursdays going forward, starting in July. So, sound off in the comments. Make sure you guys are ready for the change because our bodies are ready. Look at Doug; he is born ready. I think so.
Don't have to get ready if you stay ready, right? We got some comments right here. We got BC must-win series versus garbage team. Should sweep from BC. Bobby Miller on mound today. Yeah, a little Bobby bump day after a couple Rocky starts. Looking for him to bounce back. We got Justin Lamas. Corey Seager is right, though. He wants a full 162-game World Series played at a home stadium with full crowds. That's a little tease. We're going to touch on that in a little bit.
Yeah, on today's show, we got to talk about the Corey Seager drama. We got to talk about the Clayton Kershaw situation. Yeah, I feel bad because I really laid it out there on the Monday show. Like the Kershaw's injury is coming. I didn't think it was going to come the very next day. So I tried to undo the bad, but I knew, I got that sixth sense of when things are going to go bad for the Dodgers or even when they're going to go well. So we'll talk more about that and, how the Dodgers should handle it and move forward from there. Plus a little bit of who's hot, who's not. We teased it on Monday. We didn't get around to it because it was a long show, but we got to talk about Miguel Vargas, who got a triple just for you last night. But let's find a few more comments and then let's dig into the show here. 209 is in the stream. We got Steven Munoz. Will W says Clint DMac, good Dodger blue morning. Appreciate you, Will W. By the way, running the 1s and 7s over there is DJ producer Cody. So he's gonna keep an eye out for some killer chats and super chats as always.
Yeah, what is super chats at?
Where the super chats at? How you doing, my guy?
What's going on, guys? I like the early morning feel. Gets the day started.
You know what? I mean,
nothing like a Dodger.
It is. Friday. It does feel nice in here right now. It's peaceful. Nobody is in here to distract me.
Tranquility.
Very, very tranquil here. So
there's never a bad time to talk Dodger baseball.
Absolutely
really, all
not.
Baseball, really.
Michael Creo says we should have swept the Rockies. Yeah, that they scored enough on Wednesday to win a game, but to be in a game that Michael Grove started, that's still pretty good. That's still pretty impressive. They were right there. They had the winning run 90 feet away, or go ahead run, tying run, whatever. They were there. They were in the game, and that's all you really want to ask for. And to have them survive coming out of Colorado is huge because I hate Colorado.
Yeah, no, I mean, anytime you lose 9-8 at Colorado, I mean, that definitely is a tough pill to swallow. You could have absolutely swept this Rockies team, one of the worst in Major League Baseball. But, yeah, they made that late run, scored 2 runs there in the 8th, and J.D. Martinez, he strikes out swinging in a key of bat, and then the next day he just says, hey, here's my revenge game, and he explodes offensively. So, yeah, you'll take 2 out of 3. You never know what's going to happen in Colorado. And like you said, with the state of the rotation, state of the bullpen, with Michael Grove on the mound, you'll take it. But that looked like one they were going to steal at the very end, but they just didn't.
A couple more comments. Let's go. Let's see. I don't know what this one's about. It says Roy Estrada says DMac Clint. I was about to call in missing persons. Go blue. I don't know. Maybe it's because I did say we were going to go at 11, but we had to set up some things. Doug showed up late because he's just like that. He's on that Doug time.
He was doing a one-on-one with Dustin May.
Is this true?
There's some traffic. It was some traffic on the base pass.
In Los Angeles?
Coming here. Yeah, I know, right?
No.
I thought maybe 4th of July, but I like this one. We got Slash for real. This show rules. Then we got C-Ross. I know he's the captain on Kershaw's catcher, but he needs a phantom IL to get his swing right. So we'll talk about that too. I think it's a little Austin Barnes mentioned there.
Yeah, let's dig into the Corey Seager situation. Well, actually, first let's talk All-Star. Let's talk All-Star selections just a little bit because Well, the voting is in. Dodgers have 3 starters. Is it 3? Yeah, we got Mookie, you got JD, and you got Mookie Betts' friend Freddie Freeman. So well represented there. Will Smith, snub or not snub? I mean, you can't say Sean Murphy is not having a good year, and he's been healthy all year. As Will missed a couple of weeks with that concussion.
Yeah, I think you start right there. Is it a snub? No, it's not a snub. A snub is because it's not a snub because it's a fan vote. The fans vote. The fans voted. Hey, me, I had an alarm set. I was voting 5 times a day. When my wife's phone was there, I take it. I vote for him a couple of days. I see random people on the street. I ask if I can see their phone for a second. I vote there. So I was voting as much as I possibly could, but you can't call it a snub because it's a fan vote. They wanted Sean Murphy. Also, to me, it's if JT Realmuto was starting over Will Smith, then I'd be pounding my fist. I'd be screaming right now. But the fact is, Sean Murphy, who's also put together a very quality season. If I told you these 2 players, Clint, without telling you their names, who would you have as the starter? Sean Murphy, a 150 weighted runs created plus, 14 doubles. Well, I actually did tell you the player right there.
You kind of told me the player.
Sorry, I meant player B, but hey, why not? So if you look at it, it's razor thin. Smith, a 149 weighted runs created plus, so 49% above league average. Murphy, 50% above league average. Smith, 7 doubles. Murphy, 14 doubles. Smith, 12 home runs. Murphy, 13 bombs. If you look at F4, Murphy has him by a smidgen. Defensively, probably just a little bit better, but they got it right.
They got it right.
Here's my concern, though. My concern is that you get JD Martinez, a little bit of an unexpected all-star heading into the season. Absolutely deserves that spot. We're going to talk about him in a second here. You knew Freddie Freeman was going to be a lock. You knew Mookie Betts, he was going to be a lock. He's on pace for 30 doubles, 40 home runs, putting together another elite season in Dodger Blue. But now you got 9 players remaining for the players to vote for. And then you got 6 players that the front office can vote for too. And that to me is a little scary because when the league office has to pick those players, you have to have 1 player represented for each team. I think that's why the All-Star game is the most flawed All-Star game in any sport because you need a player from the A's.
Fair.
Okay, you don't need that. To me, we should fix this all-star game. I think what they should do, don't bring up a problem unless you have a solution. My solution is you have a blue ribbon committee headlined by me and Clint Pasillas. Throw some guys from Fangraphs, throw some guys from Baseball Savant, throw some former players in there, former all-star players, some coaches, some managers, and then you formulate the all-star game, you formulate the all-star team, and then you see who gets to start. But to me, I think it's a deeply flawed system, and I'm concerned with the reputation of a JT Realmuto. Sometimes it takes a couple years to change the perception.
Absolutely.
My big fear is that Realmuto, who's not having a great season, not even a bad season, but Smith has been superior. But what if he gets in over Will Smith? That to me would be an absolute snub. That to me would be ridiculous on all levels.
I think at this point, Will is going to get in. The Dodgers, Dave Roberts. Sorry, words bad this morning. It's so early. Dave Roberts has been very vocal. A lot of people have been very vocal about the fact that this is Will Smith's year. This is the year he needs to be an all-star. Evan Phillips talking about a couple weeks ago with our friends over at Foul Territory, saying that like, yeah, you know what, whatever. I wasn't an all-star last year, but it was an absolute travesty that Will Smith was not an all-star last year. On the other hand, we've been saying that about Julio the last couple of years. He should have been an all-star in 21. He should have been an all-star in 22. And you do have that problem with you need to have representation on from each team. So my solution is we go old school. We get every single player and we line up. And then like you have that. 2 managers and you pick that guy and you pick that guy and the fat kid gets picked last.
Hey, I don't know about that. I mean, hey.
And it's an all-star game. Just have fun. Why does it need to
look.
be like the same? Let them have 12 players on the field. Have 4 outfielders. Have, an extra infielder up the middle. Like, have some fun with it. Yeah, offense is more exciting. It's more fun, but make it exciting, make it fun, and make it something different than just, hey, we're going to play the same game for no real reason.
Look, I agree with you, and I think the one time they went with a drastic change, they were dramatic with it. You know what happened? Bud Selig, he ends up going for a ridiculous idea where the winner of the All-Star game got home field advantage. That was a monstrosity. That was a terrible, terrible idea. But also, too, I think that when you look at these players, it makes sense. It makes sense for them to want to be an all-star because you see it in the value, see it in their contracts. Teams, they want to assign players that they can say to their season ticket holders, hey, he's a one-time all-star. He's a 2-time all-star. It impacts their contract. So, yeah, I think when you look at Will Smith, he absolutely has to be an all-star. If he is not an all-star, I will not watch baseball again in my life for one day, and then I'll be back. But I will be furious. And, yeah, I think if you want to talk about...
I was going to say, that Bud Selig move really makes me want to take a nap, or at least just shield myself from the world. And I'm going to do that with my Manta Sleep mask, because having home field advantage in the World Series determined by the outcome of a useless game in the middle of middle of the summer is stupid as hell. So I'm going to sleep that one off.
Pure insanity. But Manta Sleep, they make the world's best sleep masks and sleep accessories. Everything they do is to enable better lives through better sleep. They work relentlessly to improve and optimize sleep so that you can have the energy to live your best life. Check out mantasleep.com today so you can sleep better anywhere, anytime. Get your Manta mask today. Use the code DN2023. So message to MLB players, I know you watch the show. Do not sleep on Will Smith. He's been the best catcher in Major League Baseball as far as overall offensive production since he made his big league debut against the Mets on May 28, 2019. That's when I dubbed him the Clutch Prince after that hit he had against the Phillies, that home run. So, yeah, he absolutely deserves to be there. Can't say that enough. But how about Freddie Freeman? Got to mention him for a second. Freddie franchise. We talk about the great contracts that Andrew Friedman has signed. This might be right at the top.
In my opinion, this is the best free agent deal that Friedman has done, best free agent deal the Dodgers have done in possibly all time. We're talking free agent deals. This could be right up there as the best. Who do you put above him as a free agent deal? And no, we're not talking about them re-signing Clayton Kershaw when he opted out, like being fair, being real, bringing it a player from another team.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Kevin Brown sells over 24 WAR. I mean, people don't even realize it. They made him the first $100 million man. Yeah, but I think that Freddie Freeman,
that's an illegal name amongst Dodger fans, man.
Dodger fans that don't know the facts. I mean, come on now.
If you don't know the facts,
if you don't know the facts, then you gotta.
Thank you.
There you go. But yeah, no, I think Freddie Freeman, he's on pace to be. We're in year 2 of a 6-year deal, but through 2 years almost, a year and a half, he has been an elite player. He's been a top 5 to 10 player offensively at $27 million a year. There's no question about it. He's actually the 3rd Dodgers first baseman to be in the All-Star game. You got Gil Hodges. They haven't had a starter and first base at the All-Star game since Steve Garvey in 1981. So great to see Freddie franchise, Fredericks of Hollywood, get it done.
That's absolutely nuts. That could be a great segue. I could very much use that as a great segue into the Corey Seager conversation, because Freddie was the perfect replacement in the lineup, batting second for the Dodgers, taking over that spot that Corey Seager has had. But I don't want to talk about Corey yet. I do want to point out the first ever Dodgers designated hitter representing the team in the All-Star game, J.D. Martinez. In the illustrious this franchise, history of this franchise.
Yeah,
barely getting the DH.
I can't believe it. I mean, this is a franchise that's been around since 1883. They've never had a DH in the All-Star game.
Crazy.
To me, that is absurd. Of course, JD Martinez, more than deserving. We're going to talk about him a little bit in our Who's Cold, Who's Hot segment. But yeah, JD Martinez, he's been everything the Dodgers could have hoped that he would be, and then some. And I also want to say special shout out to Mookie Betts and Robert Van Scoyoc. Without those two, there's no way that JD Martinez signs a 1-year, $10 million deal with this team. Of course, you got the Boris background too, but he's a guy who's got his career back on track. He set himself up for another nice payday. And I think that he's been absolutely fantastic. You saw that on display last night. Man, that guy owns Coors Field. It is JD Martinez's field in Colorado. He was an absolute monster.
He picked up like 14 points in his average or something like that, going 7 for 14 or whatever it was. That's
just
nuts.
Dingers.
Just dingers. We love them. Let's get into a few of the comments here. CRaz951 says Mookie announced for Home Run Derby. Of course, yeah, we didn't really talk too much about Mookie, but deservingly so. You know, he has 20 bombs this year. He was always going to be one of the guys voted in. He's one of the most popular players in the game. Of course, he's going to get voted in to the All-Star game and also going to hit in the Home Run Derby.
Yeah, Mr. Klein, I actually want to get your thoughts on that, too, because I see people out there, they're upset with Mookie Betts saying, if he's going to do the Home Run Derby this year, why didn't he do it last year when it was at Dodger Stadium? Well, I'll tell you, things can change in 1 year. And his wife, Brianna, told him that that's one of the last things he hasn't done. This year, 20 home runs, that's 7th. He's a guy on pace to hit 40 home runs. And this time last year, he didn't know if he was a 35 home run guy, right? I mean, the home run thing, as far as him going up there, being aggressive, a guy that's leaving the yard. And also, too, he has made a commitment to himself to make baseball cool again, right? To try to be a guy that can be one of the faces of the league with his podcast. I think it makes total sense. I will say T-Mobile Park, not the best park for home runs for righties, just as Adrian Beltre, right? I mean, some of these guys haven't had as much success, but I think it's kind of absurd to say, oh, he should have done it last year, but he's doing it this year. I see people out there saying that. He is going to have Clay McCullough throwing to him, which I think is really cool. Had some really nice things to say about Clay McCullough. I thought that was nice. Yeah. I see people out there saying, oh, he should have Alex Vesia throw him the ball,
bruh,
because that would help him hit home runs. I think that's, come on. Don't mess with Vesia. No Vesia with Alex Vesia like that. Come on now. But yeah.
I don't think he can get called up again.
Question for you, Clint. Does he make it out of the first round?
First round? Oh, man. I you know what? Gut instinct says yeah, but I also lived through the Yasiel Puig, Hesop Choi, Matt Kemp playing, not trying to hit in the home run derby and it failing pretty bad. So, but I think he gets out of the first round. Yeah, I think we'll be pleasantly surprised. I mean, Mook's got some pop, man. Yeah. You know, one of the things I'm also excited about, and then let's get the hell out of this topic.
39 home runs for Jock. I think that for Mookie, I think he's more of a
yeah.
I mean,
I was like, right now, no,
Jock 39 home runs in the first round. I don't think he's gonna do anything like that. But I think he definitely wants to make it out of that first round. But I do think, though, he's more of a, in basketball, you have an in-game dunker versus a dunk contest dunker, right? Sean Kemp, guys like that. More in-game dunkers, LeBron James. I think he's more of an in-game home run hitter than a guy that's going to go out there and hit dingers consecutively. But I still think that he has a lot of pride. He's going to make it out of that first round. And, hey, who knows? He can be a sneaky pick to win it all.
And one thing I'm really excited about is this happening at T-Mobile Park. Safeco Field is the cameras are insane there. It's a beautiful park to watch a game be played at on TV. Like that's gonna be fun because it got that little string camera that zips around. So that's cool. That'll be fun. That'll be useful for the what is this 108th All-Star, whatever, 93rd or 4th, whatever. It's gonna be good for the All-Star game. And thankfully, we got our boy Joe Davis on the call for that. So that'll be fun. But another guy that's going to be at that All-Star game, old friend, Corey Seager. And there's a situation brewing with Corey Seager that has some fans not very excited. As I said, he said the quiet part out loud, allegedly. Okay, so the report is a teammate said that Corey feels he wants to win a real, this part was highlighted, real World Series, and he wants to do it over and over again. Smoke, what do you think?
Well, the first thing I would say is that it is from Fox, so it does lead some credence to the whole idea that
point.
It definitely, it's not like it's some random website. I mean, it's a Fox article, so you have to believe there is some truth to him saying that.
Yeah, Fox never lies.
Fox. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Fox. That's a different avenue.
Truth in reporting.
Yeah, but yeah, I will say that if there's any truth to it, I think it's pretty much him being a backstabber to the guys that he was playing alongside, the guys in that group chat that went out there and won the Dodgers' first world championship since 1988. But I don't fully believe it. I do believe it. I refuse to believe that Corey said any of this. I don't think that a guy who, let's say Corey Seager was on that team, right?
Yeah.
And he was a role player, a guy who was a part of it but wasn't one of the stars, then maybe he says that. Maybe he hints at that. But this is a guy that won the NLCS MVP, a World Series MVP. Why would he want to discredit his own achievements? That's like a guy who won the Academy Award and said, oh, the rest of the people that were nominated were trash that year, right? Doesn't mean that much. No, you want to build your accomplishments up. Now, do I think that he wants to win a World Series with the Texas Rangers? Absolutely. There's a lot of pressure with that $325 million contract. We know that he's still a young guy. We also know with the new restriction on the shift, he's benefiting from that more than any player in the league right now. He's absolutely raking this year. 179 weighted runs created plus. That's third. Hitting 345 with 10 home runs. Defensively in the 22nd percentile and outs above average, but that's never been his calling card. But I just don't believe he said this. I don't believe he said. I think it was taken out of context.
Yeah. The way it was laid out, it was absolutely laid out or put together by this writer in a way to create this, to have everybody talking about it. Because, this is going around on radio right now. This is going around on TV somewhere. It will be a talking point. And Corey, who hates talking to media, this is going to be another reason why he will never want to talk to media unless he's absolutely forced to, because dumb crap like this happens. But yeah, I think the quote teammate added some sort of inflection because you didn't win the World Series that year, so that makes it less legitimate or whatever, which, yeah, people have mixed feelings on the 2020 World Series championship. everybody had the same opportunity to win that World Series. So it is a fully legitimate championship, because you go back 50, 60, 70 years, there wasn't a National League Division Series. There wasn't a League Championship Series. You didn't play 162 games. Years change, seasons change. Something different happens as baseball, as a sport evolves. And whoever wins it at the end of the year wins that version of the World Series. Now, I will give less credit, less legitimacy to the awards given out that year. Cy Young, MVP, 60-game season. I don't care about your regular season awards. Yeah, you know what? Hey, Freddie Freeman won that year's MVP. I'm sure he has mixed feelings about winning it. He won it. It's on his ledger. There were no All-Stars that year. That hurt some people. World Series, legit. And I've just wanted to complain about the regular season's awards for a while. So I decided I'm going to take the opportunity right now and be like, those are Mickey Mouse.
Interesting. I mean, I think when you look at those accomplishments, talking about Trevor Bauer as well. Of course, he was a shortened season, also was highly inflated with the sticky stuff. There's no question about that. Talking about spin rates.
He parlayed that into some big money in LA.
Exactly. And he really admitted it for the most part, as he was definitely, that was a part of his plan. But as far as the season as a whole goes, you look at that 2020 season, I still think it is legitimate. You still consider it a World Series trophy. You still consider it a win. You don't delegitimize it or take it away. But I will say that if you're a player out there, you're probably saying to yourself, okay, you look at that 37% of the season. That's a Dodger team that had a 43-17 regular season record. That would have put them on pace to win 116 games. So with that, would you have had some regression? You probably would have. If you look at why the Dodgers didn't win in 2021 and 2022, well, one of the reasons was it was a longer season, and some of their players ran out of gas. Max Scherzer's arm passed away. Julio Urias, he ran out of gas. You saw in 2022, dealing with injuries. Walker Buehler wasn't the same. So anytime you have a marathon of a season, you are going to face attrition. And in 2020, the Dodgers, they were the deepest team. I think that helped them in the NLCS when you were down 3-1 and you have consecutive games. That depth definitely helps you. But I also think, too, that the Dodgers, they were hurt by COVID as much as anyone in the fact that they could have gone down as an all-time team. It's not like they wanted to have a shortened season. They would have preferred a 162-game season where they could have proven themselves in the postseason. But also think, too, it's unique in the fact that from an adrenaline standpoint, you had to go up for every single game with cardboard cutouts in the stands, right? And then two, you had to play an extra round against that Brewers team. And for me, the biggest kicker, to me, my trump card against any Padres fan out there that was having a parade after a wild card series berth that absolutely would still be celebrating this had they won this year, is that if you look at the teams they played, were those the best teams in Major League Baseball that year? Were the Braves the best team in the National League? Absolutely, you can make that case, right? Were the Tampa Bay Rays a deserving team to be in the World Series? Absolutely, you could say that. So it's not like they went out there and they beat the Marlins, right? And the Pirates and the Oakland A's, or teams where you're saying, oh, this is absolutely fluky. No, they still beat the best teams on their way to a World Series. You still had full series as far as the 5-game division round, the 7-game CS, and the 7-game World Series, and the Dodgers went out there and win. Having said that, though, when you win a World Series, when I look back at that 1988 World Series, which obviously was a long time ago, when I look at the highlights, I think of Tommy Lasorda saying, oh, yeah, right? You think of the parade. When I think of the Lakers in Shaq, it's, can you dig it? Part of the championship experience is the parade. It's seeing Clayton Kershaw probably crushing beers. It's seeing guys with their shirt off, going nuts, throwing beer on fans. Can you imagine? Pause. Can you imagine what a championship would be like for the Dodgers in this era? That is, to me, why you want that. And you want to win a World Series at home. The Dodgers, they haven't won a World Series at home since 1963. So I'm still hungry for more, but I just don't think that. When I first said that, Clint, when it said that one of his teammates said that, I thought I was like, wait, did I black out and did Alex Verdugo get traded to the Rangers or something? And he called it a 60-gamer, but I just don't believe you said that.
No, I think again, I think it's creative reporting with something a teammate said in passing that who wasn't on the team. I don't think Corey Seager feels that way at all. Like you already said, you laid out earlier, man. And guys, do chime in the comments.
Yeah, I want to read some of his comments for sure.
And you know, Cody, if you see any good ones in there, let us know. Let him know. Corey he didn't make his career, he didn't make his name, but he became kind of a quiet superstar in that 2020 postseason, like you already said. LCS MVP, World Series MVP. What he hit 9 bombs, 8 bombs, something like that. Like he went off. He went into God mode in postseason, as you said in many a video in the past. While you guys are here, by the way, subscribe youtube.com/Dodgers Nation TV. Hit the bell, leave a like, leave a comment on all our videos. It helps us out a whole bunch. Get us to the moon, as some people say on the internet. But that postseason made Corey Seager. He was already one of the best, but that put him on the map where a team might consider giving him $325 million.
Exactly. I mean, it did so much for him. And the Dodgers heading into the next season, they offered him a deal that was a little over $250 million. Before he signed with the Rangers, they got close to $300 million. So a lot of that had to do with the fact that, hey, you're a guy who went into that postseason having a reputation as a bad postseason player, as a guy that hit around 200 and you couldn't count on in big spots. He totally flips the script on the narrative. He totally becomes that guy that has that on his mantle, those 2 MVP trophies. But I just don't think this, because I think the camaraderie of that group too. That was a team that you didn't have all the hired guns, right? You definitely made the trade for Mookie Betts to extend it before the season. But that core, Jock Peterson, Cody Bellinger, Clayton Kershaw, all those guys, Walker Buehler, Will Smith, those are guys that had a lot of mutual respect for each other. If it had been a situation where, let's say, Corey Seager was a Manny Machado, right? He's a midseason trade to the Dodgers, and they go on to win the World Series, and you don't have that link. Maybe he goes out there and says it, but Corey's a nice guy, a good, wholesome dude. I don't think he said this, but if he did, let's say they got the press conference, says, yeah, I did say that. It was a Mickey Mouse ring. He's not going to say it, but
yeah, I don't think he said it. I think there's an inflection. There's just too many moving pieces on this, and I'm interested to see if Corey addresses it in some way, which he might at some point. But 2020 World Series championship, much more legitimate than the 2017 World Series championship, and you guys can take and run with that. What you got for me, Cody?
We have some comments here. Justin Lamas. I'm gonna actually make this the Hornitos shot taker comment of the show, because this is super heaty. Because he says he actually disagrees with you guys, because he says we're only mad at Seager because he's right. LA can't win a World Series unless it is a 60 game and in a bubble. 1988 was a long time ago. And then Will W said, World Series is a tournament. 2020 Dodgers won that tournament.
Yep.
That makes it legitimate.
Look, if you think it's a Mickey Mouse trophy, you're just goofy. That's what I always say. And I think the diamonds still shine bright. The World Series trophy is still the World Series trophy, so you can't take that away. But I will say it'd be interesting to see. Let's say the Padres had won a 60-game World Series. Would Dodger fans be out there saying it's a Mickey Mouse ring? You bet your ass they would.
Oh, hell
you
yeah.
100% bet your ass they would.
Yeah.
So that's just the reality. But like I said, it's fine. But, hey, we are not satisfied. This organization isn't satisfied. You want more titles. And I think that what truly, let me make this crystal clear. You win a 162-game World Series, that is proof of concept with what the Dodgers have done. I think that continues to drive this organization. I almost look at it as a chip on their shoulder moving forward. Had they won that in a normal regular season, maybe you're saying, maybe we don't make a trade this year. Maybe we do punt on this season, but they still want to win. Just look at the Padres. Look at the Mets. Those are the big spenders. They've also had the biggest collapses, the biggest bust this season. So sustainable winning is definitely the way to go in Major League Baseball, and occasionally you need to go all in, though.
Yeah, the proof of concept thing, I would agree, but I'm going to take the road of disagreeing now, because that team is gone. Like, everybody, who's left? Kershaw, really? Like Buehler, Julio, like most of the heart and soul of that team, they're gone. That window closed to prove that proof of concept. So now it's a new one. It's like, hey, we can still do it. We can still go out there with very different pieces and put together a championship caliber club, provided they get one or two more arms somewhere along the way. Real quick before we get out of here, because I did slam, as usual, as we always should whenever we get a chance, I did slam the 2017 World Series championship. I want to get your thoughts real quick about the whole Alex Cora, crying and saying sorry for effing them in the A, to JT, to Kenley, apparently 2 years later to Kike Hernandez, because he's just chilling there for however many years on his Boston Red Sox deal, and then he finally gets it. But what are your thoughts on that whole situation?
Hey, man, Alex Cora is an absolute scumbag. I think he's really one of the ringleaders of that group. Him and Carlos Beltran, there's no question about it that I think that it's not too late. It is not too late for Rob Manfred to go back and take away that World Series title. He's already said recently, he said in an interview with Time Magazine that he didn't like how he handled it as far as giving those players immunity. I say you go back there, you take away that title. It is fugazi. It isn't real. The Dodgers were absolutely cheated, and I think that would absolutely take away any sting that any Dodger fans would have about the legitimacy of that 2020 title. This is an organization that should have won multiple titles in this run, and I think that the Dodgers have been cheated. I think Alex Cora, he shouldn't work in baseball. He should not be working baseball. I mean, this is a guy who is a serial manipulator, not on just like two different teams. I mean, perpetually he's looking right now, he's looking for that next way to cheat. I guarantee you, he's looking for that next way to cheat at the iPad store, at the Apple Watch store.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a bunch of baloney, and his team really isn't having any success. So,
I mean, yeah, Cora, Hinch, these are a couple of dudes who should not be in baseball. What you got for me, Cody? I saw some excitement.
We have a super chat.
We got to start doing that just to make sure that we hopefully find it in time, because we don't get to hear the music in our ears. We got to probably fix that, but it is what it is. What do you got?
Craze 951 says it took us more games to win that piece of metal. I don't know who he's talking about.
So in 2020, it was instead of the usual, you have to win 11 games. They had to win 13 because there was the forced wild card, which eventually now has led to this sort of newfangled postseason style the Dodgers have. But yeah, there's another reason why it makes it even more legitimate and harder to have won that 2020 World Series. You had to win more games against the best teams in baseball. So
for sure.
Let's move on. One player the Dodgers will need to win a World Series in 2023, or if they plan on winning a World Series in 2023, and that is Clayton Edward Kershaw, who shoulder started barking. Whose shoulder started barking on him in his start in Colorado on Tuesday. So one, send Colorado to the sun, because something bad always happens in Colorado. Somebody gets hurt, or Kershaw gives up 17 runs in a game, or apparently gives up his shoulder a little bit. He doesn't seem worried about it. The team doesn't seem too worried about it, but this team is very notorious for gatekeeping its injuries, and just they I guess we'll say they hold things close to the vest. But two, it's my fault again, because on Monday's show I did say I'm waiting for the Clayton Kershaw injury. It's going to happen, and so I apologize to that. I didn't think my demonry would work in this situation. But what are your thoughts on the Kershaw situation, and how do you think the team should handle this right now? Because a couple games before the All-Star break, what do?
My thoughts are, protect Clayton Kershaw at all costs. This is a guy, if you look at the innings he's pitched this year, 95 in the third innings. That is by far the most for the Dodgers. The second most is Tony Gonsolin at 57 in the third. He's made 16 starts. Okay, he's on pace for 30 starts and over 190 innings. I mean, what we see from Clayton Kershaw in the last few years, he hasn't gotten anywhere close to that. Hasn't pitched more than 22 games since 2019. Hasn't pitched over 200 innings since 2015. That was elite Goat Shaw era, right? That was Cy Young era, MVP era. So I think you have to save Kershaw from himself. I think he said, of course, that the shoulder was, quote, cranky. He said the shoulder was cranky. He had some inflammation. Really, my number one concern is the fact that, we thought that he was going to head to the IL at some point, but it was going to be the back. This time it's the shoulder. You have some inflammation. Anytime it's the arm, that to me is a big cause for concern. I do trust him knowing his body. And look, if you look at him, he's going to pick up a ball for the first time in Kansas City, and then you make your next start against the Pirates. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe next week on Thursday, you give him 8 days rest, and then he pitches in that series, or you throw him one more time in this series at home against Anaheim. But I also think, too, maybe you're like saving this IL stint for a possible announcement on the All-Star game. Maybe you want to save him from that and just allow that to be announced first. But I don't like it. I'm definitely concerned.
Really good point.
I think they should shut him down.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think they're trying to play, because the reserves are announced on Sunday. Is that what it is? So that makes sense. They're trying to play it as if he is going to pitch on Monday. Don't let that happen. Just let. This is the perfect time for him to get a barky shoulder, because he can take a few weeks off. It does not matter for him to start any of these last 2 games before the All-Star game. He doesn't need to pitch in the All-Star game. He was never going to start the All-Star game, because I don't think they were going to give it to him 2 years in a row either way. Not shut him down. Just let him get healthy. Let him get right. Right now doesn't matter. September and October matter. So I'm all aboard with that.
But how concerned are you just in general about where the injury is? Because to me, when I heard this shoulder, that's where definitely some red flag.
One of the things that kind of, I guess I'll say, quelled my concern was he said, I've had this before.
Yeah.
I've had these shoulder things in the past. And of course he has. He is a major league pitcher. My shoulder hurts just thinking about throwing right now. And I'm pretty sure I got to get something checked out in there. But he's done it. It seems like they have a routine where give him the cortisone, let the inflammation die down. He's fine. Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I'm not overly concerned. I'd put it at a 4.
Out of 4?
Yeah, 4 out of 10 for me.
But for me, I just want to get ahead of this. I mean, I do not want to be driving Clayton Kershaw with the check engine light on, right? I mean, you can do that. Yes, it'll get you around, but you're at risk of breaking down at any moment. I mean, it's dangerous. You could cause irreversible damage. It could be the difference between fixing a leaky gasket versus having to replace the whole engine. And if Clayton Kershaw were to suffer a serious injury here, this could not only be the end of his season, it could be the end of his career. So I think you always proceed with caution when it comes to Clayton Kershaw. And I think, though, one of the silver linings is you got Julio Urias coming back, and he can stabilize the rotation. But other than that, you got Gonsolin, you got Sheehan, you got Michael Grove, you got Bobby Miller. I mean, not a lot of experienced starters for a team with World Series aspirations. And I think 100% this continues to scream at Andrew Friedman, you got to go make a trade. If you're serious about the 2023 Dodgers, you have to hit the market. And I have a new name that I am talking myself into.
Okay.
It's not as ridiculous as some people might think it is. I think the Dodgers should, if they make him available, if he's willing to waive his no-trade clause, Max Scherzer does make some sense. Max Scherzer does make some sense, and let me tell you why. So, Clayton, he signed that 3-year, $130 million deal, has a no-trade clause, has said that there's been rumors that he's open to waiving that no-trade clause. And here's the thing. He has an opt-out after the season. He has an opt-out after this season, and we know that the Dodgers, they offered him 2 years, $72 million. He ends up signing for 3 years, $130 million. Well, if you get him for the rest of this season, you're looking at paying him around a little over $14.5 million. You're going to owe him $60 million around that if he opts into that final year of his deal. If you look at the last 3 starts for Scherzer, he's been pretty fantastic. A 2.25 ERA, a 2.88 xFIP, a 31.3 strikeout rate. This is a guy that is pretty much better than most number 2 or number 3 stars in the league right now. I don't think it's that insane.
It's not insane at all. It's the right call. It's a veteran. It's a guy who's been there. You got the veteran presence. You got the leadership. You got the been there, done that. You've got the dog. You've got the grind. You got somebody that some of these young right-handers can learn from as well. Like having him sit there, in the clubhouse next to Bobby Miller and Emmett Sheehan and whoever else comes up next. I love it. What did you say what have you said for months leading into the season? Who do you rooting for? You're rooting for the Dodgers to win, and whoever the White Sox are playing, you want them to win. Now you really want whoever the Mets are playing to win, because there's every reason in the world for them to set up for a fire sale.
Exactly. That's going to be the world's most expensive.
They kind of started in a way with the Eduardo Escobar trade.
Precisely, and that's going to be one of the most expensive garage sales in the history of the world when Stephen Cohen decides to do that. And here's a couple things, too. If you're going to trade Max Scherzer, for a lot of teams, the only way you can make that deal is if the Mets are willing to pay down some of that money, right? And they can buy their prospects. So that's how good the Dodgers are. They can sell their prospects, but also, too, they have the financial resource and muscle to absorb that. So maybe for the Dodgers, and you say, hey, we'll take on that money. We don't have to give up our prospects. They're one of the few organizations that has not only the muscle financially, but also has the prospect capital that say, hey, what do you want? We got the prospects and we have the money. You take your pick. But also when you look at Max Scherzer too, look, the reality is he's better than most teams' number 2 and number 3 starters. There's a very limited amount of starters that could be available, and a lot of them, they're not game changers. Really, Marcus Stroman, is he going to move the needle for you in the postseason? The answer is no. He's definitely heading for some serious regression to the mean. 250 BABIP. That's not a guy I would trust in game 1, 2, or 3, especially over some of the guys that the Dodgers already have if they're healthy. Lucas Giolito, not elite in a lot of categories. I would love to have him if you packaged him with a Middleton or a Graveman or a Hendricks if he's healthy, and some other guys, but I wouldn't like him as the headliner of the trade that would really be the last piece of the puzzle for the Dodgers. Definitely has pitched really well lately, but still, he's not a guy that you say, okay, he can get it done in the postseason. But Max Scherzer is a guy that we saw before he went down. he was elite for the Dodgers. He was fantastic.
As I say, a couple of concerns. Like, yeah, he did break down in 2021, but he broke down because they had to ride him. They had nobody else. Clayton Kershaw was hurt. The elbow kind of gave on him a little bit. So as you get better, they didn't have the crop of pitchers now that they or then that they have now. There was no Dustin May. You couldn't really rely on the oft injured Tony Gonsolin at that time. Now they're in a better spot to protect a very old Max Scherzer. So it's a move that makes a lot of sense. The other concern I have, though, is he's not going to get more money on the open market. So, or do you end up stuck with him in 2024 when they realistically now at that point, you're filling up the rotation because you got a lot of young arms that need spots in the rotation. You don't know if Kershaw's coming back. If you win a World Series, Kershaw's going out for sure. He's going out on his own accord, and that's fine. Let him go out a champion. But if not, if they don't win, then you made this move, and now you got a $43 million player. You don't know how much money the Mets are going to pay down. So there's a lot of moving pieces to it, and that concerns me a little bit. But if you can trade for him and guarantee yourself a 2023 chip, in exchange for the $43 million, you're stuck with Scherzer as a 40-year-old in 2024. I take that deal. But of course, we don't have the benefit of that kind of foresight.
Yeah, no, to respond to your points, first thing, if you look at, like I said, he's owed $14.2 million this year. If you trade him around August 1st, around the deadline, then you have the $43.3 million next season. But also, too, I mean, what if he is lights out? What if he absolutely is just fantastic with the Dodgers and he has a great postseason? I mean, could there be 3-year, $70 million deals out there for him if you were able to opt out? Not that many pitchers out there on the open market. Maybe that's something to consider. To the Dodgers next season, no guarantee Kershaw comes back. No guarantee Julio Urias comes back. No guarantee that Shohei Ohtani signs with the Dodgers. Yeah. And next season, you're not looking at a 40-year-old Max Scherzer. And what I tell you before the season, that I was calling that rotation for the Mets the Ace RP with Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. But still, I think it would be the ultimate indicator that the Dodgers are all in on this season, that they've seen enough from this veteran-laden group right at the top. And I think we talk about 3 All-Stars, all from the lineup, and a team that is not even in first place. That tells me that their lineup is good, their pitching is bad for the most part. So, yeah, I just think it's interesting, and I think that what's really changed it for me is that Steve Cohen is willing to leverage his spending capacity to bolster the prospect pipeline. The Dodgers have the prospects. They have the money. There are not many teams out there that could compete with the Dodgers. I do think it'd be interesting considering their history and some of the comments that Max Scherzer made after he signed with the Mets about how the Dodgers handled him. But also, too, I think you look back, it could be a seamless fit as long as you don't touch the guy.
Yeah, I mean, they know the Max Scherzer 101, don't touch him if he's pitching.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't
Dave Roberts cupped it on the dugout.
Dave Roberts gets in there. He's a cheek grabber for sure. But I like the move. I'm interested in seeing what the next month. Well, obviously, I'm interested in seeing what I'm excited what the next month of baseball is going to look like for all these teams. Because
I think again, by the way, no sticky stuff. Okay, no sticky stuff. Like he cheated before, but no. Look, anyway. Chase rate's still there. The velo's still kind of where it was in his career.
No, it makes sense in every aspect. And yeah, you bring up the Julio, you bring up the Kershaw. You don't know what Dustin May's future is going to be like in the rotation. You don't know if maybe you need to include a Tony Gonsolin in a Max Scherzer trade to give them.
I will drive him there for it.
Drive him across the country to make it happen. But
with the Dodgers,
they definitely, because I'm terrified also to imagine a rotation of just Bobby Miller and Tony Gonsolin and Emmett Sheehan or whatever next year.
Lots of potential, but there's still lottery tickets. There's still no guarantees. But Scherzer in his time with the Dodgers at a 1.9 ERA. In 11 starts, 68 in the third inning, a .82 whip, so 1.98
probably should have
ERA.
won that Cy Young, but
fell apart a little at the end. But yeah,
that's neither here nor there. Cody, did you say you have something before we move on?
Yeah, we have a few comments. Justin Lama said, "Thank you, Doug. Max Scherzer every single day." So I definitely agree with you.
You're welcome, Justin.
Emar said, "LOL on Scherz." And then Darren Shepard, to get back to what you guys were talking about with Kershaw, they said Kersh should never pitch at Coors. His injuries always seem to follow a start there. Interesting.
Yeah. Injuries or his ERA gets injured.
We have a lot of people saying pass on dead arm, Mad Max. There are a lot of people wanting Joe Kelly and Rich Hill back on the back on the mound for. So
I don't care if Rich had like a 40 ERA. I would still want him back. Okay, I love me some Rich Hill. Love me some Dick Mountain.
Richard Mountain, if you're nasty. All right, let's move on, and then we'll get the heck out of here. Who's hot? Who's not? We're gonna make this hopefully a quicker, tighter segment. Who's hot? It's pretty easy. We kind of talked about him earlier. You got to talk about Just Dingers.
JD Martinez, 19 home runs, 55 RBIs, 319 isolated power, and that's a really great measure of raw power. It's slugging minus batting average. This year it's at 319. That's second in all of Major League Baseball behind Shohei Ohtani. Not second for DHs, second in all of Major League Baseball behind Shohei Ohtani. Okay, a 136 weighted runs created plus in 64 games, 274 plate appearances. He's been fantastic this season. 19 home runs in 274 plate appearances. Last year he had 16 home runs and 596 plate appearances. He had a little slump lately too. I don't think people realize this, that he was slumping. In the last 2 weeks has a batting average of 241. But yeah, he's been a monster for the Dodgers, Clint.
Yeah, one of the better signings in all of baseball this past offseason. Julio Daniel.
Do you give RVS and Mookie some commission for that? He's been the steal of the offseason.
I mean, if you're giving them commission, you got to give commission to Freddie Freeman for this next guy, because Jay Hay has been absolutely incredible for the Dodgers since mid-April. Realistically, he's been kind of the man. But even if we're just looking at May to this point, you have a guy that's OPSing over 800. He's getting on base. He's playing really good defense wherever you plug him in. He's producing some power. You got 13 extra base hits over that stretch since the start of May, and just a really, really good veteran addition to the clubhouse.
Yeah. Now I will say that I have fallen for Jason Hayward. I'm smitten by this guy. I absolutely, sometimes those players come around where you just root for them on a level where you're like, okay, I just want to see this guy succeed because I think he's a good dude. I think to the core, he's a good dude. He's been great for this clubhouse, one of the more popular guys on the team, a guy that voice resonates with his teammates. And yeah, you're talking about a guy that's on a minor league deal. A minor league deal has totally resurrected his career with the Dodgers. We saw him at that party where he was making fun of my Christmas sweater. And he told me to take it off so I could hit some more dingers. And that day, I'm like, wait a minute, Jason Hayward is here. And we're talking about guys who aren't even close to working out. And he's putting in work. And I asked him, I said, hey.
It was November?
It was like November. I said,
I guess it was December, but anyways.
I was like, hey, Dodger Blue is better than Cubs Blue. He's like, I like the simplicity. It looks real nice. So that tells me he likes it in Dodger Blue. I love the fact he's around Freddie Freeman. I mean, I asked Freddie about the road trip question, which of your two teammates would you want on a road trip? And he said that Jason Hayward has been his best friend for 17 years. And of course, Hayward said the same thing back. So these guys are like buddy cop movie status.
Did you watch the Backstage Dodgers about them?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that was really good. I
think I missed a backstage.
Doug doesn't sleep. He's never worn a man to sleep mask. That's for sure, because sleeping is for the weak. You could be bringing in 1994 NBA Finals footage at that point right there. But I thought the whole best friend thing was slightly embellished, but watching that, I was like, oh, this is pretty legit. Like this is for real. Like these boys love each other.
I agree with you, Clayton. By the way, if I had your quality bed, I'd probably sleep more. I know you got like the top of the line bed at your pad, so I definitely would catch some more Z's number.
I got the two sides that do the thing.
I'm telling you, I have like a cot. I have a cot in a Ninja Turtle sleeping bag. I mean, nothing close to what you have.
Buddy. Hey, I know you're sleeping in that Tesla in the parking lot just in case they sign anybody, so you can drop. The video did pretty good. I want to give just also an honorable mention, David Peralta, because those are the three best Andrew Friedman signings of the offseason. That's JD, that's Jay Hay, and that's DP, David Peralta. News to Cody on the what DP means, but hey, Peralta since the start of May, 331 with an 878 OPS. That's insane, dude. Like, he is locking it down in left and keeping the line moving. You almost wonder at this point, and there's nowhere to move him up higher, but you wonder about moving him up higher into a run production spot, but you don't move him unless you flip him and Max, which maybe makes a lot of sense. But right now, let him be. Let him keep doing this thing. But we weren't going to dive into Peralta too much. We got to talk about the who's not. And, it's a tough situation, and nobody wants to fans want to talk about it, but nobody in the media wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to address it. But our Austin Barnes he is a different world of bad right now, and he's really good at his job when it comes to catching, game calling, setting everything up, because it's not just for him and his games. It's for him. It's for Will. Like, he's essentially a coach that plays every once in a while. But Austin Barnes, was he hitting like under 100 now, right? Still?
Yeah. Austin Barnes has had a rough year. I mean, 9 hits for Austin Barnes so far this season. And this is a guy who actually was looking pretty good in the World Baseball Classic. You're probably saying to yourself, okay, this guy's going to have a solid season. And you know what he brings defensively, but 9 for 89 this season, hitting 101, a minus 10 OPS plus. This is a guy who was a negative 1.2 WAR. So, Clint, if we finish the season and the Dodgers finish 1 game behind the Arizona Diamondbacks, you could blame Austin Barnes possibly. That's how bad he's been. But yeah, I mean, I'm not like a guy who just wants to flame players or criticize players. I mean, I think statistically, it's not something to debate. I mean, it is factual that he has been one of the worst hitters in all of Major League Baseball. And at some point, you wonder, what is the upgrade look like? Is there someone else out there? We know Hunter Fiducia. We know the success. He had a 4-hit game. I don't know if that's the answer. I think, for me, the big question I have, though, is the fact that you have JD Martinez, who we just talked about, the fact that he's at the DH spot, right? If that DH spot was freed up, and maybe you could say to yourself, okay, we're going to get Will Smith some more reps at the DH spot, and you can bring in an experienced catcher that you could trust that could give you a little more at the plate. Maybe you consider going that route. But I think at this point, as bad as he's been, I mean, and this guy couldn't hit a pinata, even if he wasn't blindfolded, right? That's how much he struggled. But still, I think you just have to bank on the fact that he is going to find a way to just be serviceable. I mean, last night, bases loaded a couple times. You're hoping that maybe he walks, maybe he gets plunked or something. I mean, it's just not a lot of contact that says that, hey, there's hard contact that leads you to believe he's going to get out of this. So, yeah, definitely is something that's a concern. But do you think that, a question for you is, do you think that what he does defensively, the way he commands pitching staffs, do you think that that is good enough to justify him at the plate?
I would say a couple years ago, yeah. At this point, less so, because Will has come into his own as a game caller, as a receiver, all that kind of stuff. In 2020, I don't think the Dodgers win that World Series if it were not for Austin Barnes. He kind of took over behind the plate as Will sort of settled into a DH role. That proved to be a massive difference maker. You think back to bases loaded, nobody out situation for Walker Buehler against Atlanta, and them navigating through that situation. He put it all on Austin. He's like, give him all the credit. The only reason I survived that is because of Austin Barnes. But again, now it's different. Now Will he's a man. He's a big time man. He is the man, and you don't necessarily need that role for Austin anymore. So it's tough, man. They won't move off of him.
They won't.
I
agree.
Probably 100%. Should in this situation, but
Clinton, who was the last catcher that was the fan favorite? That was the beloved catcher, Kershaw's best friend.
That was the Kershaw favorite.
AJ Ellis.
Yeah, I know. I want you to riff on it because I have some thoughts as well. But look, we've seen this team move off of a fan favorite, and yeah, AJ Ellis didn't have a World Series championship with the team under his belt, as where Austin does. AJ was also 36, 37 at that time, maybe not that old. Austin's 33, but we've seen them make that hard decision. And what's his name? Ruiz. I can't remember his first name right now. He came in. He hit a big time playoff home run. He was solid. Kershaw was hurt. He cried about it, but I'm sure he'll move on. Austin Barnes, yeah, he's not helping the Dodgers win too many games, but to know that he's starting twice a week, it's such a fringe upgrade that's not going to make enough of a difference in October to where I'm okay keeping him around with how much he means to the pitching staff and to the catching staff and the coaching staff. I think he's in a better position. He's in more of a position of power than AJ Ellis was.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, AJ Ellis, when they traded him to the Phillies for Ruiz and the cash, he had a 47 OPS plus at the time, but like you said, he was older, also didn't have the postseason success that we saw Austin Barnes have. And also, too, I think just from a leadership standpoint, Austin Barnes is one of the most respected guys on that team. Yeah. Mookie Betts literally said that he's the captain of the team, so I don't anticipate them moving off him. And also, too, you have the DH now. You didn't have the DH when it was AJ Ellis. Now you have a DH in JD Martinez. So offensively, is he your big problem? Is he your big issue? Not necessarily. I think it's other guys like we'll talk about next, Miguel Vargas, and some of the other guys.
A couple of Miguels not really doing their job to help offset the Austin Barnes, but Austin Barnes you keep. It's okay. Are there upgrades in the organization already? 100%. But that's not the route to go. Plus, again, he's the captain. He is a clubhouse glue. That's something you can't trade. But
and also with all these young pitchers too, helping these young pitchers, I think you absolutely keep. And you just hope that he can turn things around. But keep Austin Barnes. I have to ask you, Clint. Can you give him the Clint cure? I mean, this would be one of your biggest. No, not eligible.
He's beyond help, man. This is terminal.
Yeah,
this is definitely terminal. But
you're a doctor, not a miracle worker.
When you have Austin Barnes in a lineup that also features Miguel Rojas and a couple months ago Trace Thompson and Miguel Vargas. All right, it is time to talk about Miguel Vargas because dude is hitting under 200. He had the triple last night. It's a Coors Field triple. Hits don't mean anything unless they come from JD Martinez, but he's finishing up a really bad month of June, hit a $149. I'm not seeing any signs of him coming out of it. If anything, I'm seeing a dude get worse and worse mentally as the struggles continue. You've been all aboard the Miguel Vargas train. You've been trying to sell me on him all season. You've been trying to sell people on him all season. I don't want to get on your train, sir. But at this point, you got to have a fair amount of concerns about this guy.
Look, I mean, last night that was nice to see him get that triple. I think it was 2 for his last 43, but the results have not been there. Vargas has struggled. There's no question about it. The hard contact isn't there like we saw when he made his debut last season. Even though the numbers weren't great, there were some signs that said, hey, this guy's hitting the ball hard enough, over 89 miles per hour. But in the month of June, a 54 weighted runs created plus, hitting 149. The production just is not there. So as far as am I going to sell my stock, I'm not going to sell my stock because I think when you're going to sell your stock, you have to ask yourself some questions. And I think I'm looking at the investment timeline. My timeline for Miguel Vargas is 5-10 years. I think he can be a core member. But also, too, another reason why you should sell your stock is short-term concerns. And I have some short-term concerns about my return on investment of him. And I think that he would be better served if you send him down, get his swing right, find a way for him to just get that rhythm and the confidence back. Because I think there's a lack of aggression at the plate at times. I think you're seeing him spit on certain pitches for no reason whatsoever. They're not asking him to be an on-base machine. They want him to do damage from the side. They want to be a guy that can get you doubles and go gap to gap. So, yes, he has definitely been better than some other options, but another reason why you sell a stock is you found something better. Now, have you found something better in Michael Busch? Because Busch is 9 for 45, hitting 200. He's also 25. So, 23 versus 25. Miguel Vargas is the younger prospect. He's the prospect that from a swing, from a bat-to-ball perspective, I think he has a higher upside. The only question is, at what point is it time to put the kids to bed and let the adults go to work? Because you have a lot of veterans on this team, and this is a team that's going to be around for 1 year. I cannot stress that enough. I cannot overstate that enough. Hayward and JD Martinez, Freddie and Mookie. This group, this is a 1 year last dance, whatever you want to call it, type team. And if they are fully confident that this team has enough pieces to make a run for the postseason, I think one thing you consider doing is you trade for an outfielder. I really like Adam Duvall on the Boston Red Sox on a 1 year, $7 million deal. He's raking against lefties this season, can provide some pop. You throw him in the outfield, and I think Mookie Betts continues to improve in the infield. I think either second or third base, Miguel Rojas, his offense continues to climb, hitting over 250 this month. So I think at this point, if you're going to address the infield as far as getting more production, more consistent production, I think moving Mookie in and finding another outfielder, because you have David Peralta, who, like you said, has come around. He's been one of the best hitters that this team has had. OPS close to 1,000 this month. James Outman, he's shown some signs of life. Jason Hayward, he isn't going anywhere. Chris Taylor, he is going to be returning. So I think you can add a bat to the outfield, whereas Tim Anderson, I'm selling my stock on TA right now, man. My man forgot how to hit. He forgot how to baseball.
Yeah, he's done.
Okay? So, I think that's something you could consider doing until you can have the confidence that Vargas is going to figure things out.
So I asked this question aloud in an article earlier this week. What do you do on DodgersNation.com? Go check it out. It's a website. It's how we keep the lights on around here. What do you do about this? What can the Dodgers do about Miguel Vargas? And they can keep running him out there. That seems to be the situation. Yeah, that's probably a no. If we're looking on the roster, you go the Mookie, or on the active roster, you go the Mookie route, and you free up the outfield for Peralta and Hayward the whole time. But you also still have hit and miss James Outman. So you don't move your Gold Glove right fielder to second base permanently. I don't see that happening. Would it be better for the team? Yeah, they're not going to go that route though. There are also a few dudes, and I know it's an unpopular angle. Like Michael Busch, no. Well, he hasn't proven anything. You don't just hand the keys to another guy like you're saying who isn't really proving himself or whatever. You can give him an opportunity, but there's a couple of guys down at AAA that are just there and they're doing well. Jahmai Jones, who has a little bit of big league experience in 2020 and 2021. He's been doing well. I think he's second on the team. When I last look, he's hitting almost. He has an OPS almost 1,000. He's got 30 extra base hits. He's got some pop. He's playing well. Yeah, is it the sexiest move to go bring up this kind of minor league journeyman? No, but if he's playing better than the 199 hitting Miguel Vargas, it's something worth trying before going into trade deadline time. There's also a guy we've heard about for a long time, and I know it's not a popular one at all, but it's an option, and he's played some second base. Devin Mann, who's leading the team, the AAA team in OPS. He's got some pop. He's 26, so he's on the older side of being a prospect. But he's still producing. And Dave Roberts talks about like this is if you can hit, if you can produce, it's a production driven sport. You're going to get an opportunity. And these guys are just kind of wasting away down there at AAA. So if you want to try something different and give Miguel Vargas a mental reset, because I'm not saying you throw him away. Just give him a mental reset. Give him a month back down to AAA. Get his swing back, get the mentals right, and maybe if you don't make a move at the deadline, maybe he's hitting well again by the time August rolls around. But you have a couple of guys that are just there. That's free money. That's house money right there. If you want to go and try a Jones, even if you want to give Busch a little bit more time, or if you want to go the Devin Mann route.
Yeah, I think on a lot of franchises that make a lot of sense. And yeah, going back to Mookie, I don't think it would ever be a permanent move.
Yeah.
But I think that if you trade for another outfielder, you could see him getting more infield reps. I mean, defensively, he's a guy that's one of the best defensive right fielders in the game. Also, he loves to play the infield. So I think just continuing to mix it up for him, you can find ways to get some production. As far as the guys that are down there, man, yeah, there's definitely some guys out there that could possibly produce. But we've also seen, too, that's a process. You got to bring them up. You got to have them go through their ups and downs. They're going to have their eventual slumps. And at this point of the season, I think you would have already done that if you truly believed there was anyone down there. I mean, look what Emmett Sheehan. Everyone was surprised that he was the guy they brought up, and he was the guy that's had success. Well, that's because the organization knows their players better than anyone, and they realized that he was the guy that had the best chance to have that success. So this is a veteran group. This is a team that wants to win a World Series. I don't think you put all your hope and your cures on a prospect. I mean, I was DMing with someone from Baseball America, and I straight up asked him, I said, what percentage of prospects, in your opinion, do you think work out? And he said, probably like 25%.
Yeah.
25%. So I have a 1 in 4 chance of a guy coming up and helping this team that has one more year to win with this championship group in this window as far as the guys they brought in. So I still think you got to go out there. You got to get a veteran. How about Candelario of the Nationals? He could be traded. He's a third baseman. He's an unrestricted free agent after this season.
There are some options.
Muncy to second.
Absolutely some trade options there, but you need more.
Vince coming this week.
If they're doing getting an infielder, I think they're getting an outfielder. But that's for another day. We'll talk about that on Monday. We'll talk about more trade stuff, and I'm sure it's July. It's Doug's time to eat, so you're going to see a lot of trade talk. We're going to see a lot of dugouts dropping from my boy D-Mac.
It's the part of the show I hate. It's about to end, isn't it?
It is about to end because we're over an hour. It's lunchtime for folks. Remember, this is early, but I know before we get out of here, Cody, you got something for me.
Why not end the stream on a super chat? I keep forgetting. I'm the one that Brandamino.
Oh, Brandamino. Yeah.
Brandamino 99.
Brandamino.
190 or 99 says Vargas.
Brandamino? I'm going Brandamino 99.
Brandamino 99 says Vargas has as many hits as he did in spring. LOL.
Oof. And he couldn't swing for most of spring.
But shout out to you for the super chat, my friend.
Hey, let's let these boys go out and get right in Kansas City. What do you got? 3-game series. Give me the predictions real quick.
Break out the brooms.
You're going sweep. What do you got?
White pill, baby. 3-0.
2-1. Dodgers take the series. because I got to be Julio's coming back Saturday. That's going to be nice.
I just said sweep. I didn't say who was going to sweep.
This is fair. Let them know, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you popping in on a random start time for Blue Heaven. We will be back to a more normal time on Monday, so join us then. Find us on the internet, DodgersNation.com. Please go there. Subscribe to our newsletter. Gets all the info right in your mailbox every day, so you can catch up on what happened with your Dodgers the night before. Our podcast here, Blue Heaven, all of our content is also available in audio form, so check that out. Search Blue Heaven Podcast on all of your audio platforms, and you'll find us there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. That would mean a whole bunch to us. That is youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. Hit the bell, leave a like, leave a comment on every video, everything you see. Whenever you see Doug's face, just like it. It helps us out more than you could believe. I'm Real FRG on Twitter and Instagram. That guy's DMAC_LA on the Twitter and Instagram. That guy's Cody. He's got a Twitter. I always forget it. Do you care about giving it?
It's at KXDYLUU.
More followers than Jesus.
There it is.
We haven't heard that one in a while. Yeah. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the questions. Thank you so much for the super chats. Hanging out with us. Have a safe weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Bye.